Okay, this video is going to be how to make bamboo terrain. I'm just going to start off and explain this piece of terrain a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to make some other terrain I've just made recently. I'm making an entire table of this bamboo theme, and so this you can see is kind of like these spikes sticking out, kind of like just a nice fortification with a wall back here for guys to stand behind, a little ammo box. Basically, this one here is pretty simple. This is just some wood board. I'm going to cut it out. I should have done this beforehand, but I'm going to cut it out about the shape of this brown area, so it's not really square. And the main dirt area of this is styrofoam. That could easily be done with sand, water, and like Elmer's glue. But I used styrofoam. Kind of cut it down the shape I liked. I cut this slot in it for all of these ones here, and then I just used the hot wire, the hot cutter with the point, and just kind of burned holes the size of these on there, and jammed a bunch of these in. All of these little pieces of bamboo around here, these are all just straws, just those cheap straws you get. Just cut them at an angle, and it's pretty simple. Most of these back here are also straws. And these larger ones, there's a few, like 4 or 5 thrown in just to add some variance. Those are actual pieces of bamboo. I think I've got some of those around here somewhere. I got a bunch of this from Joann Fabrics when it was on sale. So I probably have like several hundred feet of this because it was super, super cheap. There is some real bamboo here. Another thing I did for this is after I had the styrofoam, I had all these in to kind of blend it all together and add some detail. Just mix some sand, some water, and some Elmer's glue together. I painted that over the whole thing for texture, and I also put some of it on the ends of this, and some of it just kind of like on the actual pieces of bamboo, and it made it just kind of look more natural, like just some an actual natural kind of growth on it. And when I put it on the ends, I painted it brown like dirt, so like it had been sitting in the dirt there. So this one's pretty simple, and I'll get to how I painted this in just a little bit. And so yeah, this is I'm gonna have 5 or 6 of these on the table. Next up is the bamboo trees I'm gonna have for the forest all over the place. Now the idea was originally from the How to Make Wargaming Terrain book that GW puts out, and I think I think I did a better job with it. I kind of took their idea and added a few things to it. This is basically what theirs is, except I did it with some different colors, so it's a lot lighter, and I think it looks more realistic that way, and it kind of makes the table pop a little bit more instead of being so dark. And the other thing I did was I'm making the area terrain, like the actual cutout area terrain piece, out of metal, thin metal like this lid, and covering it in flock. And these are all magnetized, so you can have trees going sideways if you want them to. But this way, it's super easy to put them on. They stay up a lot better, and you have a lot more room to actually put the models in the area terrain. So this is just a magnet with some green stuff. I haven't painted the green stuff yet. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be showing you how to make is one of these, minus the magnets because I'm out of them right now. So as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of these painted up already. I've probably painted up about 15 of these. It's a little hard to see just because my light's too bright, but yeah, so I just painted up about 15 of these, which is enough for about 30 trees, if you cut some short and some tall. Alright, so to make one of these, what you're going to need is, let me try to get this light a little bit darker here. Okay, what you're going to need for this, the bamboo trees is a bag of skewers. These are bamboo skewers, which is very appropriate. And this was like $2 or $3, and I've barely made a dent in it. So I'm going to have enough for more than I'll ever need. So get out a skewer. So that's what you're going to need. You're also going to need the color Desert Yellow. You're going to need the color Camo Green. And you are going to need Bleached Bone. Now, this is not necessarily in that order. And you're going to need 2 brushes. You need just a big, fast, easy to paint brush. And then you're going to need a detail brush too. Nothing super fancy. I've got like the GW Citadel one that's really well. This is the fine detail brush. Just something with a good point to paint the rings with. So let me pause right here and get my stuff ready. Okay, the first color you're going to need is Desert Yellow. So I take some of this out using the big brush. Put some in, like I used to put mine in some plastic. If you have a wet palette, it works even better. So just put some in there. And add a little bit of water. No point wasting paint. It'll go on thinner. And you won't have to, you'll still get the color, especially since you're going over something that's almost the same color already. And with this, you're just going to brush it on really quick. Just all the way up and down the whole thing. See if I can't zoom out here a little bit. Just try to get as much of it as possible. And you might have to do just a quick second coat, but not usually. Alright, so that's it right there. You can see kind of the color difference here is not a lot, but it is important. Okay, now that you're done with that, I just kind of put them standing up in a container of money or sand or whatever, just so they kind of stay up and dry. Clean off your brush, and we're going to be going ahead and moving to the bleached bone now, as I attempt to not get my hand in the shot the entire time. Put some of that in here. This is going to be using the fine detail brush. You don't need a whole lot, just for 1 or 2. And add a little bit of water. Okay. Now what you're going to be doing with this is painting the lines, so just twist the end a little bit and get a good amount on here so that it paints really easy. And you're just going to, it's a lot easier to turn the bamboo instead of moving the brush all the way around it. You'll get a lot straighter lines. So just kind of set up, get a lot of paint on here, make sure it's kind of wet, and just turn the bamboo all the way around. I kind of messed up on that one, but it's still not bad. And just do this every inch or so, just however you think looks best. And do this all the way down. Yep, so it should look something like this. Maybe even a little bit better. Okay, now that you are done with that, go ahead and get out your camo green. And let's go ahead and put some of that in our wet palette here. We're just going to be using the big brush again for this one. And you don't need a whole lot of this either, because everything can go on in really thin layers and it really looks good that way. Alright, and you're just going to go and just brush this on everywhere except up to probably about a 1/4 inch, or I guess like a few millimeters, like maybe 3 or so millimeters from the rings, 2 or 3 millimeters from the rings you painted on. Since it's a little wet, you can kind of do it in layers, so you can get kind of close to it once. And you're just going to do this then between them all. Sometimes it's easier, like what I've been doing is just doing the very middle of between all the rings, and then going back and getting close to them afterwards. And let's go back now and do the final layers over here. Okay, so this is the end result of that. And of course, if you want a little bit brighter, you could, let me try to get a little bit different light. You could always go over it again. But there is my bamboo, and I think it looks pretty good. Now what you're going to do is just going to grab some clippers or an X-Acto knife and cut it to the lengths you want. And let me get out the tops of these. Okay, so that's how to paint the bamboo, which is the same method I used on this terrain here, only I painted this one after they were in. So after you're done painting it, and so you could use this, the same thing for making barricades like that, making, watchtowers, forts, whatever. If you're making trees, I've got this stuff here. It's kind of clumped together like that. It's not flock. I've got mine from Gale Force 9, but it's a bit expensive, so I'm probably going to go to a train shop and get some cheaper stuff. But this is called Hobby Round Summer and Color Clump Folia. So, but that's what I used, and just paint the top end with Elmer's glue. Throw some clumps on there, and I just spray sealed mine really good right away so that it doesn't fall off. With I've got some the same sealer I use on my models, which is just Krylon matte finish. It's like $3, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.